And welcome to a Portugal Calling webinar with Expats Portugal, one of our wonderful just landed specials. And we've got three great guests this evening to talk to you about their experience of moving to Portugal and being here. And they have been here for different times, different length of time. And we'll find out more about them and how they're finding it at the moment. So good evening to you, Laurie McDonald. Let me just say a first few hellos to everybody who's joining us. Good evening to you, Laurie. Are you there, Laurie?
Boa noite.
Boa noite. Very good. Well, you've made yourself at home, saying with a
Yes,
boa noite,
boa noite.
to me this evening. Boa noite. Tudo bem? Como estás? I think we got a little bit of a Tomar connection.
Moro em Tomar 3 semanas.
Wow, fantastic. Well done, Laurie. Good work there. We'll certainly be talking about learning the language tonight. So good evening to you. Good evening to you as well, Matt Lawrence. How are you?
I'm good. Happy to be here. I remember how useful these were for me when I was in transition.
Of course. And here you are now talking about the whole process as a veteran of moving to Portugal. That's fantastic. Thanks for joining us tonight, Matt. And you could, if you wanted to, I'm sure, do this whole thing in Portuguese, because we were talking about that. But it might be easier, certainly for me and everyone else, if we do it in English tonight, if you'll permit me. So thank you for being here, Matt. Much appreciated. And Dotty, have we got Dotty Hopkins here as well? Are you there, Dotty?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, Dotty. Lovely to see you. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Sorry, I tuned. Life in Portugal is not quite as calm and easygoing as I anticipated. There's a lot going on, but we're new. We've only been here 3 months.
Fair enough. Okay. Well, we will come back to you and find out more about that, how your expectations have been met or not, as the case may be. So let's do a quick round of introductions in terms of where you came from and where you've ended up here in Portugal. So let's go to Laurie for that. Where did you come from in the world, Laurie, and where have you ended up here in Portugal?
First 20 years in Detroit, last 46 years in Arizona. So wasn't quite ready for Tomar's winters. And I need to thank Louisa, because even though I've never met her, it was an interview she did with Kaylee that gave me my first warning.
Yeah, that what he didn't tell you, referring to me interview. Okay, so I'll pass that on.
Yes.
There. Okay, so you were well prepared then, in some senses, for colder weather. Has it been a bit of a shock then, arriving in Tomar in the winter?
If anybody had told me, because I am an official weather wimp, it's why I left Michigan,
right,
that I would be donning thermal underwear on a daily basis, using electric blanket every night, buying an electric throw for my dog on the sofa who's shivering, right, and still loving it, I would have said, you are out of your mind.
Well, thank goodness you're here tonight.
But I love it.
Yeah, this is a terrible start to a webinar about the wonders of Portugal. But you say you still love it despite all of that. So we'll find out more about that. How long have you been here now exactly? We do have a little bit of
3 semanas.
So 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
3 weeks. That's amazing, isn't it? And you have a very moving story to share with us a little bit later on as well. And it hasn't been the easiest entry for you, but you have had the most incredible experience in a different sense as a result of what you've been through in this last 3 weeks. So it's a slightly upsetting and difficult story and experience you've had, but I think there's a little bit of a silver lining that we can speak about around that as well. So thank you for being here and letting us know where you came from, where you ended up. Tomar, that is, for 3 weeks. What about you, Matt? Where did you come from? Where did you end up, and how long have you been here now?
I moved from Seattle, Washington, to Porto, arriving last January. So I just recently passed my my 1-year anniversary date. Every day that I'm here in Porto, I like it more.
Oh, how lovely. Okay, that's wonderful. Thermal underwear, if I may ask.
Yeah, it's important. I heard I went to forums like this, and I came prepared, and I've needed it. But fortunately, not at home, just in transit, just when I'm out and about.
This is so authentic, intimate, and personal so far tonight. Thank you very much. So, just over a year, just over a year in Porto, and you came from Seattle. Amazing. Thank you for being here tonight, Matt. Let's go to Dotty. You know what my first question is going to be, don't you, Dotty?
What? I'm not, I'm in the Algarve. I do not need to discuss my underwear.
Thank heavens for that. Okay, we can move on. We can move on from the thermal underwear. That's wonderful. So, where did you come from? And you've ended up in the Algarve, obviously. How long have you been there?
We arrived on December 10th and we came from the Napa Valley.
From the Napa Valley. Okay. And what's with the internet connection in
Oh,
the
very similar. Are we delayed too?
A little bit of a delay. I can see Laurie's raising a drink to you already. This is going very well tonight. A nice glass of white wine there, I think.
I have a homemade margarita that does not exactly meet my expectations.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so this may be one of the things that you're not so happy about, the standard of margarita here in Portugal. But we've established you've come from the Napa Valley. You're in the
I love every single thing. So we have just moved in the last 2 weeks to Praia de Luz.
Oh,
wow. We are so in love with Praia de Luz. We would call it an escrow in California, but here I've only just signed our promissory note. So we will move into our newly acquired residence on April 8th. I was a realtor in California. This is a very surprising thing for me to go through the way they do it here. It's just not anything like real estate is done at home. But no. Despite all of that, I absolutely love
it. This is amazing. And this is what we're learning.
Nothing here I don't love.
Oh, that's absolutely wonderful to hear, Dotty. Sorry to cut across you there. I thought you were cutting out. I didn't realize you hadn't finished. But this is a recurring theme already, despite some of the plot twists that people have experienced. They're still absolutely delighted to be here, which is lovely to hear. Not so keen on the information that Hank Staliker is sharing in the chat, but maybe we'll come back to that a little bit later on. You might want to read that for yourselves. I daren't read that out. So yes, that's an interesting comparison there, Dotty, with the real estate situation, and I'm sure people will want to ask you about that. So do get the questions into the chat if there's anything you want to learn about the geography of where people have ended up. And of course, the important process of buying a home, learning the language. Get your questions in the chat about those things. Let's go back to Laurie then, and we'll dig a little deeper and find out how people got here and the processes and the people, the services that they use to do that. Laurie, can you describe your process for us moving here to Portugal?
I started out, I'm a huge history buff and have been since I was a little kid. And I actually, my first 2 years of college was a medievalist. Then, because I am a weather wimp, I moved from Michigan to Arizona without even looking in advance in terms of what they offered in terms of studies. So they didn't have much of a medieval program. So I changed it to, I'd always planned to teach because, making a living as a medievalist, yeah. So I'd always planned to teach. So I just, made it more social studies as my concentration instead of the medieval period. But that being said, I've always been a history buff, including U.S. history, and just was disillusioned with what was happening in the U.S. And so, I started looking for other areas. And, I am retired. And the more I looked into Portugal, the more impressed I was. First country in the U.S. to legalize same-sex marriage. I mean, I have a lot of friends who are gay, and I was just sort of appalled. It was what was happening to them here in the U.S. But a big part of it for me was just the reputed friendliness of the Portuguese. And I'm going to say right now, that has been so understated. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely wonderful. Okay. And can you give us a little bit of an insight into the professional services that you used? How did you go about your visa process?
Well, I did decide I wanted to use a specialist. I ended up with E originally, and they have a phenomenal reputation. I unfortunately there were some glitches, so I ended up switching to another company, and they worked out great for me. But every company, I don't want to say one is better than the other because there are circumstances, especially in uh, Portugal. I mean, for example, and I know we're going to get into this, but my first day, a full day in Portugal, I found myself locked in the back part of my apartment. Fortunately, in the part that had the bathroom, yay. But after 3 hours, I was told that the landlord was out of the country, lived out of the country. He's Portuguese, lived out of the country. And the local representative did not have the okay to bring a key to the apartment.
Okay. So you have to stay there until the owner of the apartment comes
So,
home.
so a locksmith had to come. Yeah. Yeah. 3.5 hours, a locksmith working to get into my apartment. Yeah, it was.
Oh my God.
That's quite the story. Now, one of the key
Yeah.
takeaways tonight will be how to not get locked in the back part of your apartment. So we'll definitely cover that this evening. But it's amazing, Laurie, the things you've been through here, and you still love the country so much. I'm loving this. Well, I'm not loving the fact that you've been through all these difficult circumstances, but it's amazing, how upbeat and positive you are. And I think that is a lot to do with what you've mentioned before. It's the nature of the Portuguese people.
Yeah. No, I mean, Um, should I go ahead and mention what happened with my dog, one of my dogs?
Yeah, if you will, that would be great. Thank you.
Yeah. I came with two dogs. Ebony, who's a 17-pound, long-haired Chihuahua with really long legs, black, and a white, I call her my wire-haired house elf. She's actually part um wire-haired, like Karen Terrier and Chihuahua, and she's only about 9 pounds. She will go home with anybody. She's extremely friendly. She loves Portugal. Routinely, when she's out with me, she gets picked up and passed around among the Portuguese. She will never leave. Ebony was horribly mistreated before I rescued her. And when the two of them arrived, I was still locked in my apartment. So normally the routine would have been to bring the crates into the house, but they couldn't get into the house. And finally, I did get out, but then the locksmiths they were putting another lock on, and they somehow locked themselves out again. So the dogs were out there, and I said to the service I used to transport them, how long have they been in the crates? And he said, well, 14 hours at this point.
Yikes.
Because the other issue is they were much later getting there, because one of the things that I paid for them to get the dogs through customs. And one of the things they do in customs is get your boarding pass. And I was warned of this beforehand. Well, of course, they call me the day that they're going through customs, which is the day I'm locked in the back of my apartment, and my boarding pass is in the kitchen. So it literally, yeah, I know, Dotty. Seriously. At one point, when the
And
locksmiths
you
locked
haven't packed up and
themselves
moved
out of
home?
my apartment, I literally looked at the two. No, I literally looked at the two. One was the guy from the pet transport. The other was from the company that got me my rental. And I looked at him and I said, are you familiar with SNL? And they said, yes. I said, I feel like we're stuck in an SNL sketch and not a good one.
Ordinary.
It
Oh
was
my
so
God.
strange. But in any event, I let Abby out of the crate first, thinking, once Ebony saw Abby getting out of the crate, she'd be more comfortable and, she'd mellow down. Well, as soon as I started to crack open Ebony's crate, she literally pushed it. I mean, I literally fell back, lost my balance, and she just zoomed. My street is literally at the base of the castle. If I had my rappelling gear, I could, climb straight up. But that road goes down past Set Montes with the statue of Henry the Navigator in front of it, and then straight up at a 45-degree angle to an area called Algarve. And we determined that that's where she ended up. Because she is so afraid of people, fortunately, she does love other animals. Nobody's been able to get close to her. And there have been multiple sightings. And Carl, you asked why I'm so impressed with the Portuguese.
Yes.
The night that Ebony ran away, my next door neighbor speaks no English, Antonio. I now call him Tio Antonio because he's become Abby's uncle, my other dog. He actually came over and just enveloped me and hugged me. I had no idea what he was saying, but I knew he was, comforting me.
Yeah.
The next day, he showed up with fresh eggs. And in my limited Portuguese, I thought he was offering to walk the area where Ebony was last seen. I wasn't sure, at 8 a.m. the next morning. So I set my alarm. Sure enough, 8 a.m., there's a knock at the door. This guy spent 2.5 hours.
Wow.
Walking with me. And since then, he and another American neighbor that is just a few doors down, literally every time there's a sighting, the two of them, I don't even care what time it is. The night before I left for Visu, we were out at 8:30 at night. And I had said to them beforehand, look, I'm going to bring some food because my plan is to leave some at the area where she was last sighted with the idea maybe she'll get in the habit of coming back to that same area. And I can go back to that same area and it increases the chance of finding her. Yeah. Oh, my God. Antonio showed up with Portuguese sausage and Sylvia showed up with hot dogs. So I don't know if Ebony will eat it, but let's just say the animals of Tomar were probably very happy last night.
Right. But what a horrible experience to have. Obviously, your dog running away, getting spooked and running away. But the response from your now friends and neighbors,
oh my God.
And sounds like the network of animal lovers in Tomar has come to your rescue.
Oh my God. Well, and you know what? The latest sighting, this is amazing. Because I had been walking the area where Ebony disappeared, which normally takes me about a half hour because it's at a 45-degree angle up all the way to Algarve. And I was walking that 2-3 times a day with my little dog to get the scent trail there, right?
Yes.
Well, finally, this past Sunday, I thought, darn it, I'm going to go to the castle. I haven't been there. It's been almost 3 weeks and the weather's clear. I'm going to go up to the castle. Well, the gentleman validating the tickets, I said hi to him and I said, estou a aprender a português. And I went, pouco. And he started speaking English and he asked me how I liked it and, blah, blah, blah. And I explained, I loved it. And I mentioned the dog. He took a snapshot of the poster of Ebony.
Yeah.
It turns out he lives in Algarve. So it was one of his friends who spotted her the night before last. And not only did his friend call me, Hugo called me. I mean, I have been, in fact, Mills of Gale and Mills, yep. He put it best. We were at a meal probably a week and a half ago. And he said that, I'm paraphrasing, he said something to the effect, we have made more good friends that we feel we could count on, really count on in a few weeks than we have in our entire life in the States.
Wow. Okay, well, thank you, Laurie. Thank you for sharing what you've shared with us. And that can't be easy because it's a horrible thing to have happened to your dog, but how lovely to see how people have responded to you. I think Hank's absolutely right. Laurie's had a tough landing. Nothing but love for you, he says. Laurie, hang on in there. And I think that will echo all of us. So give you a big hug, a big abrazo grande, and fingers crossed for Abby returning.
Well, Connie has been an incredible help because I forget who nicknamed me the Tomar Poodle because now my hair's better tonight, but it like poofed up and fuzzed. And Connie came to the rescue with some recommendations. I haven't bought the products yet, but I intend to.
Okay, well, that's amazing. Thank you, the Tomar Poodle. Thank you so much so far for sharing what you've shared with us. That's quite incredible. Yeah, and how is that? What are you drinking there? Is that a Portuguese white that you might have?
I'm in the hotel because tomorrow is my IMA appointment.
Right. Okay. We'll talk about
Yeah,
that.
and there's one bus from Tomar to visit you, and it literally arrives an hour past the time of my appointment. So, with Jerry's help, I got the bus ticket to here, and I made it.
Well done.
So I've my appointment is tomorrow at 10.
Well, good luck with that. We might come back and
Wow.
talk to you a bit more about that. Thanks, Jerry. Thanks, Laurie, for the time being. Matt, can you tell us a little bit about your process, how it all began, how Portugal came onto your radar, and how you got to be here?
Yes, I can. And actually, listening to Laurie, I also have a story that was rather trying early on when I moved here, but turned out to be a good experience that impressed me about just Portugal. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Go ahead, Matt. Go ahead.
Okay. I'd been here maybe 10 days before I had to go to Lisbon for my appointment and to get my residency card. Fortunately, I'd hooked up with Expats Portugal early on in doing my research, and I found this group to be incredibly helpful just in terms of resources. I found EI through this organization. That's what I used to help me with my immigration process. I thought they were excellent. There were a whole bunch of things I was impressed with through that establishment. And actually, this story kind of connects to some of that because after being here for 10 days, I went to Lisbon for my appointment to get my residency moving. And I got my document and I came back to Seattle. And just shortly after I came back to Seattle, I got a phone call. Well, a text. No, it was actually a phone call. It was a message, and it was in Portuguese. And at that point, I couldn't catch much of it, except that this seemed to be the Lisbon Criminal Investigation Squad.
No.
I'm thinking, what happened? What has fate thrown me into? I've hardly been here, and I'm getting phone calls from the Lisbon Criminal Investigation Squad. I was there for 2 days. I'm trying to figure this out. Well, I'd used their house hunting service, which was excellent and which I would recommend. And they put me into this apartment, which I'm very happy with. And I found out they were in the neighborhood when I met them, and we passed the keys. I thought, great, I've got their address. I'm going to go into their office sometime and thank them. Well, after this happened, I'm looking for this address and I'm thinking, where's that office? I don't have Portuguese to return this phone call to the Lisbon Criminal Investigation Squad. So I find the address and I walk over to their office, and someone comes to the door and I explain, I came to thank you, but now I have this problem. I think I need a consultation. I get out what's going on. And she said, oh, wait right here. And she goes into a back room and she comes out with a young woman that she introduces me to. And she said, she's a lawyer. She's going to return this call for you. So it was like instantaneous, there's someone right there with legal expertise. So she takes my phone. First, she checks the number. She said, I just want to make sure if this is what you think it is, because this could be a scam. And then she looks up with big eyes and she says, it is the Lisbon Criminal Investigation Squad. Okay, we'll get to the bottom of this. So she's calling them back. And now this is in Portuguese, so I'm missing most of what, this conversation is, but she looks really concerned, and then she starts to look more relaxed, and then she has a few questions, and then she hangs up and she says, they found a wallet in your seat on the train. and it had money in it, and they matched it up with your ticket, and they were trying to return it to you. But I know
Wow.
it's not yours because it had other
My
documents in it that a new arrival would not have
God.
had. So it's someone else's wallet. And I had
Oh.
actually traded seats on the train because I could tell that the fellow a row down from me really wanted to sit by the woman across from me. So
Wow.
we had swapped. But here's my first impression, both EI, here I come in to thank them and they do me this great service. I felt lighter than air walking out of there. But
Yes.
also just the way that the police interact here. I mean, boy, in Seattle, this would have really been, I would have been like, what's going on? Like, this is not a good situation. Where's my lawyer? Here in Portugal, they're trying to give me money. They're trying to return something that they think that I've lost. And Laurie, I hope this happens with your dog.
Yeah, thank you for that, Matt. Wow, yes, igualmente, likewise, for sure, with Ebony.
Oh.
And what an amazing story, Matt. Again, the gentleness and the helpfulness right there. Do you know if the wallet ever got back to the guy?
I don't know, but
Yeah,
I was just, I had even more to thank EI for, and I felt a little
yes.
guilty because I'd come in to thank them. And I'd
Yes.
intended to thank them, and I needed more services. But this too, Expats Portugal was really valuable. My initial network, and it has expanded, but my initial network was through Expats Portugal, and they were all such interesting people. Everyone that makes this move, they have their reasons. They've got that sense of adventure. Something brought them here, and especially if you're retired like I am, you're at a phase of life where you know your story by this point, and you're ready to share it. So people were very easy to get to know, and everybody's got a story. Everyone wonders how things are working out for everybody else. So it's quick to get to know people here, and the community has been really great. And the roots of that community were through Expats Portugal. So I really appreciated this organization.
Oh, thanks, Matt. Lovely to hear that. Thank you so much, and thank you for sharing your story there. We'll have a round of concluding with a few pointers about what you would say to people following in your footsteps. But before we do that, let's go to Dotty. Thanks for the time being, Matt. Let's go to Dotty and find out, yes, what got you interested first of all in Portugal and your process for moving here, please, Dotty.
I think we've wanted to live in Europe for a number of years. And we got close at one point, but then both our daughters had their first babies in 2007. And we became grandparents for the first time, and we just could not leave because we were so attached to these babies.
Okay.
So we waited till they were in high school, and we're no longer sitting on our laps demanding stories. And so that was last year. And I tell people, they say, why did you leave the Napa Valley? Isn't it beautiful? And I say, yes, but the effect of Donald Trump has poisoned the United States so thoroughly, it even infected Blue California. And I simply could not live anymore in that political environment.
Yep.
And that's the honest truth. And when I tell the Portuguese people that
Yeah.
Donald Trump led us here, they laugh and say, oh, thank God. In fact, we are in contract on a condo. Our daughter is here with us, and so we're getting a 1-bedroom for her and a 2-bedroom for us in the same complex.
All right.
And her sellers are Finnish, and they said, oh, we're so glad you said that, because we wouldn't want to sell to you if you were Trumpers. They speak perfect English, of course.
Right.
They said Trumpers. So I said, I feel the same way. When we sold our house in California, I wouldn't have sold it if the people had turned out to be Trumpers. So anyway, but the malaise of the United States, I just had gotten to a point where I just didn't want to live there anymore. So my husband's degree is in history, Laurie, but mine is in political science. And I've been an activist in politics my entire life from childhood. And it just got to the point it was no longer tenable for me. So we started with International Living magazine, who led us to an attorney in Lisbon who charged us 16,000 euros to do our entry here. She turned out to be less than worth the money. Yeah.
Yikes.
She got us our NIF and our bank account, and that was it for 16,000 euros.
Oh my God.
And when we actually got to SEF in VSF in San Francisco, which was our, our application office, they asked me what her name was, and I told them, and they said, "Oh, she's notorious in this office." So International Living has made such a big deal out of her that, she's got all these people. Anyway, so moving on from that, we never got a dime back, but I fired her and hired EI. And Christina was still there, and we worked with Christina, and she was wonderful, and she got everything going. And we, unfortunately, we had a little bit of a delay. All of us have stories, right?
Yeah.
So initially, our 16-year-old granddaughter was going to come. And by the time we actually had put in our paperwork and we're waiting for results, she said, "I've decided I want to graduate from high school in California. I'm not going."
Wow.
And at 16, you can't really make them come.
Oh.
So, but we had mentioned her and the fact that we'd enrolled her at the Noble International School in the Algarve. And the reason we're here is because the school we wanted for her is here.
Okay.
So, anyway, when she wasn't coming, we didn't go back to BSF and say, "Well, forget our essay that talks about our granddaughter. She's not coming." And there was no application for her. And so apparently they approved us probably in July. We were there the end of June. So sometime the end of July or August, we got approved, but nobody ever sent our passports back. And they sat on a desk somewhere waiting to see when this child was being added.
Okay.
So our SEF appointment was November 9th, but they didn't send us our passports with our visas in them until November 28th.
Whoa. Okay. That must
So
have been
we missed-
quite the time.
We missed our appointment.
Yeah.
And we couldn't even see when the appointment was, because by the time we got it, the SEF website was down. And if you went to SEF.com or whatever it was, it said this doesn't exist. So we're still waiting for an IMA appointment.
Yeah. Along with many other people. So that's
Yeah.
pretty stressful from that point of view then.
It's not stressful because they just extended our temporary visas till the end of 2024. So we've got all year. So I'm not worried about it. We just can't leave the country.
Yeah.
And we love it here so much. We're not going anywhere. So I don't care.
They're great.
But
aren't those authorities lucky?
And we got our NHRs.
Oh, well done. Okay. Excellent.
Yeah. So our daughter has already got hers. She came. She could not. She had too many things going on. So she came. She already got her permanent residence, or her 3-year. But we have not even had our appointment. So anyway, but yeah, her card came 2 weeks from her appointment. Thanks to EI. It was so seamless. You cannot believe it.
Wow.
So anyway, that's all worked beautifully, and we love it. And now we're buying a place here in Praia de Luz, which is the cutest little place, but don't tell anybody. We don't want any more Americans to.
No, fair enough.
And, and we haven't learned to speak any Portuguese. I can say obrigada. That's about the extent.
Good start. It's a good start, Dotty.
But I am learning to pronounce things properly because, the ear picks it up.
Yeah.
So we know Lagos instead of saying Lagos, like in Africa.
I think you're making progress. You're making solid progress there.
But we live in an area where it's mostly summer people.
Yeah.
So there aren't a lot of people here now. We haven't made a lot of friends, but we've been pretty busy. So that's, we have time. But I agree with Laurie. The people here are absolutely amazing. I have never seen a population of people, and we've spent a lot of time in Europe, a lot of time. Including 8 months in the 70s when Richard Nixon was president. We also fled. Anyway, we were over here for 8 months, but we were in Spain.
Yeah.
And under Franco, totally different environment. The people here are amazing. Oh, and I have to tell you, the first time we ever stepped foot in Portugal was April 25th, 1974, the day of the revolution.
No way.
We flew in for a week's vacation, completely ignorant of what was going on the ground. We left the airport, came to downtown Lisbon, and it was just like the old movies you see of World War II, where people are kissing and dancing in the streets and hugging and throwing flowers.
Aw.
That's what Lisbon was like. And here we are, a history major and a political science major, watching this going on with thousands of soldiers with red carnations in the muzzles of their guns, marching on the street, and all these people cheering and crying, and because they got rid of their dictator. And it was, I still get goosebumps when I think about it.
I got goosebumps hearing you say that. That is amazing. And perhaps maybe now's not the time, but to talk to you a longer time, a greater length interview with you about that day when you arrived in Portugal would be wonderful. It'd be lovely to add that to the Expats Portugal YouTube channel. The political, did you say political science and history majors coming to Portugal on that day?
Yeah, that's what our degrees are in. So it was, for us, it was like being put down in the middle of the History Channel, living it live. It was
live,
was incredible.
Yes.
So, but I have to tell you something else. So not only did we hire EI and love them, and had to transition, after Christina, we have hired Jason Swan at Holborn, and we're doing an investment. Oh, incredible investment. We hired Nuno at Winsurance and we're 81 and 87. So health insurance is not all that easy. I tell everybody who asks me about doing this, for God's sakes, don't wait till you're in your 80s. It would have been a lot easier 10 or 20 years ago. But anyway, when Nuno found the one coverage that they will give to people our age, so we have that. And so that we did that. We who else have we used? We did not use your recommended shipping people. I found one on my own, but we just joined ACP because we bought a car and we've got our car insurance with them, and became members and all that stuff.
Excellent.
You can get health insurance at the grocery store. I swear, it is amazing. So our bank gave us health insurance. Nuno gave us health insurance, and ACP gave us health insurance, where a doctor will come to your house for 14 euros. We got health insurance coming out our ears.
And what you pay in a month is what you used to pay for a year in the United States. Don't tell me.
Well, our Medicare at home, which is all we have, is about $1,100 a month.
Whoa.
And here, the Santander, our bank's insurance policy for us, is 29 euros for the two of us.
Isn't it? Incredible. And even with 3 policies coming out of your ears, I don't suppose it's anything like 1,100.
Wants to go to policy too.
Yeah.
You said, have you mentioned the attorney that we got through?
Oh,
You have to mention the attorney.
Yeah, sorry. Thank you. Our daughter reminded me. So we're buying 2 condos, one for Jennifer and one for us. And so I reached out to Daniel Reese and Pelicano.
Yeah.
And they actually have an office in Faro, which is the eastern end of the Algarve, and we're at the western end. So they have a lovely young woman there that is a real estate attorney, and she has handled our whole thing because agents don't really do the real estate here like I'm used to my entire career. All they do is a verbal offer. They show the property and then they do a verbal offer, and then the attorneys take over. So it's kind of like the East Coast where they do table closes, but here we waited 30 days from the time we had an agreed verbal offer until we actually sat down and signed a contract.
Right.
And in that 30 days, anybody could have walked in and taken it away from us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very nerve-wracking when this is what you do for a living and you're used to a totally different way of doing it.
I'm sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. As a real estate professional, that must have been quite difficult for you.
But anyway, I can't say enough for recent. Is that how you said Rige?
Jason Pelicano. Yeah, that's right. And we'll see Daniel. Yeah, we'll talk to Daniel.
Yeah,
in the dream
Daniel
conference.
is going to do our international trust and all that stuff besides. But anyway, every person that we have gone to through expats has been over the top, professional and ethical and kind, and stays in touch and reaches in. Jason from Holborn must have communicated with me 60 times. Today, we finally got the thing that we can go ahead, because so for anybody who's home and not here yet, if you want to do this, don't do everything yourself and not put your spouse or your significant other on the property and the lease and the utilities and the bank account and everything, because you have to prove the other person is a resident too. And, you know, me take charge. I just did everything. Well, I had to prove Jack actually lives here and he's on the lease, but that wasn't good enough.
Okay. Good advice.
He
Amazing.
wasn't on the utility bill.
Yeah.
And he was on, I got renter's insurance on the place we initially rented through USAA, and he's the primary in USAA. So I was able to show them that I actually have renter's insurance on the property we got a lease on, and Jack is the primary on that account because he was the military, you know, retiree. But that was a real challenge. But anyway, they, you know, they were absolutely wonderful. So everybody that you've referred that we used was incredible, and I don't know how we could have done it.
Great to hear. Thank you so much, Dotty. And not only a Carnation Revolution special, possibly with you, with your recollections, but also your health secrets, I think, because I agree with Hank. He said in the chat a little while ago, why is Dotty 80? So I think we want to do an interview with you as well.
81.
Incredible. Okay, so let's do that interview too on what your secrets are.
Okay.
Thank you so much for the time being, because I want to go round again with Laurie, Matt, and Dotty here and find out what you'd say. Maybe, you know, 1, 2, or 3 little tips for those who are following in your footsteps, reflections, whatever you want to share at this point in conclusion before we take a few questions. So back to you then, Laurie. What would you say to people who want to come to Portugal, want to follow in your footsteps and be here? What are your key tips?
The thing that has, I think, struck me is I think we've established that the reputation of the Portuguese for being friendly and giving is absolutely true. What I had not counted on was how the people who seem to have taken this step like us, other expats, seem to be of the same nature. When there was somebody, and I don't even know who, started a WhatsApp group called Find Ebony. The next day, I get a message from an expat from South Africa telling me, I understand you don't have a car. I've been looking for Ebony. As soon as you have printed flyers, contact me and I'll take you around to post them. And she did.
Amazing.
And she's actually taken me out now 3 times. No, when I started this process, especially as a single person, I thought, okay, Laurie, the number one goal you have when touching ground is establishing community.
Yeah.
And honestly, thanks to expats, and I have to say specifically Hank and Connie, because those breakout rooms just made all the difference in terms of getting to know people one-on-one. When I touched down, I already had community.
Wonderful.
I already considered Gail one of my best friends, and we'd never met. Lisa of Lisa and Carlos, and they're not even here yet. I consider them two of my best friends, I Jerry and Lucy, they showed up the day I arrived with 2 spare space heaters because I didn't realize until the week before I arrived that because I was in the historic district, there was no heating
Oh, my God.
in my apartment.
Was that you,
So
Dotty?
for an Arizonan to find that out, oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it was just like, oh my God. And Jerry and Lucy just showed up.
Yeah.
The support, not just with the Portuguese people, it seems that that spirit of giving and community runs right through the expat community. And as I said, the woman from South Africa, she's not even a part of Expats Portugal, but she's an expat.
Yeah.
And offered her services as a driver to take me to the areas where ebony was spotted.
That's amazing. So is the message there, Laurie, in terms of connecting with people, building a community, is to reach out before you come?
Absolutely. And if you're not a premium member, and nobody has given me crap for saying this, but if you're not a premium member, just do it.
All right, good advice. Jerry agrees with you there. And your best friend,
Jerry is shallow. I adore him, but he's shallow.
We've got Gail, sorry, not you, Gail saying, I told you to pack the thermals. See, that's the mark of a best friend right there, isn't it? And apparently as well, Jerry is working on branded Expat Portugal thermal underwear.
Jerry was the first one to mention the thermals.
But the branded Expats Portugal ones are going to be on the catwalk of Paris, I think, in next spring, aren't they, Jerry?
Yes, Carl and Astrid will do the free fitting for the men, and I will do the free fitting for the girls.
Oh, brilliant. What a service. Is that premium plus or some extra level?
That's premium plus.
Yes, of course it is. Superb. Thank you very much, Laurie. That's so wonderful. Thank you very much. Nice insight there on making friends, best friends as you make your journey. Think about that, connect, reach out to people before you get to Portugal. Thanks a lot, Laurie. Matt, may I ask you for a few pointers as well that you want to share with people who are thinking of making the same move?
Okay. I took notes on some things that I thought that I had learned during the last year that I wish I'd known earlier, or that I thought might be really helpful for people who are new.
Yeah,
so I'm just gonna read the headings, and then you guys, if you want to throw in the chat something you'd like to address when we have the Q&A, you'll know that I've got a nugget on it. But I've got some notes about learning Portuguese, about building community, about health insurance, about shopping for a doctor, about taxes, about the 2 economies, which I think does exist here, and we need to cope with that. And about buying furniture, because if you're like me and you bought a place that was semi-furnished because it was less expensive on the rent, then you find yourself needing furniture pretty quick. And I learned some things about that. Anyway, those are the topics that I had down. I could cover one of those.
Please, can you tell us about the furniture? I'd love to hear.
Okay. Well, just real quick. This is one thing that makes Portugal a little different than the US. In the US, when you need furniture in a hurry, you think IKEA, and you do IKEA and it's fast and you get things that are like serviceable. But what they've got in Portugal, and it's like, you don't have to buy new furniture. The used furniture stores here are great. It's not Goodwill. If you're from the US, it's not St. Vinny's. It's not stuff that's like falling apart. But there's a lot of family businesses where they basically take old furniture and refurbish it and resell it. And it's at a fraction of the original price. And it's in great condition. If you have the time, and it can be kind of fun if you're retired, to hunt and look around at these places, you can find beautiful items that are a fraction of what they would be if they were new. So I've been slowly replacing my IKEA items with things that I found at these family shops, and it's been a good experience. I think Connie actually put together a list that she can share that has all the used clothing and used furniture stores that they've found kind of put together. This is in the Porto area.
Yeah.
But that would be a good thing to throw in the chat. I should have thought of that and had that here. But that's my advice. Don't just think IKEA. Don't just think that you need to buy things that are new, because you can buy used furniture in Portugal and it can be really nice.
And sometimes I think Portuguese people, the modern folks of Portugal, want to buy contemporary IKEA-ish type stuff. And for the foreigners coming in, seeing some of the older styles of furniture are actually quite nice and attractive in a way that the Portuguese people might not necessarily think.
My jolt is a lot of what I've been finding that's refurbished and beautiful is sort of contemporary Danish European style
Oh, wow.
furniture. So it looks like something I would see in a showroom, currently, or it's a classic, because some of those designs are a little older, but they're retro and they're cool. Anyway.
Yes. We might need to keep that quiet as well to stop furniture buyers and antiques experts coming over to Portugal. That's fantastic. Thank you for that, Matt. And your two-tier economy, or the however you put it about the there being two levels of economy.
Two economies.
Yeah, maybe we'll go into that into the Q&A, but that is an interesting point. And anything that we talk about tonight, of course, if we don't have enough time to talk about it this evening, it can be picked up upon in the forum. So we can just carry it on over there and have the conversation on the Expats Portugal forum. Thanks for the time being, Matt. And thank you so much for being here, all three of you. Finally, then, Dotty on these tips, tricks, hacks. Hacks, not hats, as we mistakenly thought last week. But yes, any life hacks, any tips you want to give to people who want to follow in your footsteps, Dotty?
Don't wait till you're in your 80s.
Right.
If you want to do it younger. And today with remote work, there's no reason to wait. You're so much freer than we were, 40 years ago. I would say, by all means, use your services, use the recommendations, the fact that your people are vetted, and there are people out there, even though they're Portuguese, and the Portuguese are wonderful. My $16,000 mistake, is a strong reminder that not everybody is. I'm not saying she's a crook. I'm just saying that we did not get our money's worth, and that was a lot of money to just waste. So by all means, look at the business referrals and use them. So if you want real help, go to Expats Portugal. And I'm proud to say one of the people I just saw, somebody who knows me, is because they want to move here. And I said, you've got to join Expats and let them guide you, because you guys are providing honest, ethical, wonderful people to help all of us, greenies get here. So that would be my tip to anybody who asks me is, don't try to go it alone. Expats, EI, told me things I would never have thought of. Like, I wanted to give them every dollar of income I could figure out in order to make us look really, like good potential citizens. And Christina said, don't put that in. It makes it look like you're still working, and they're going to want you to go to a DA. Take that out, because I get referral fees, for being a retired realtor. Really good stuff like that smoothed the way so that, we did get our temporary visas very easily. We just are still waiting for the rest. But
fingers crossed with those. Thank you. Excellent last
They're not going to turn us down. We've now bought houses here. How can they get rid of us?
True, but good luck. I hope that comes through, that you get your appointments and your cards and everything that you need. Good luck tomorrow in Visio, Laurie, and good luck to you, Matt. Thank you so much for being with us. All the best to you and your lives here in Portugal. We'll leave it there for now.